see a page to get there.
Willing to go through this page by page to give us all the input?
Yeah, also I wanted to ask Tony, just because you're not here anymore, would you still be writing the final document in absentia?
Probably not.
No?
Probably not.
Because you still, even if you're in California, you still have an awful lot of background in Jamestown planning and zoning. And what do you think of that, Lisa? Whether he would be writing the final document or you would be writing the final document?
Oh, we have it in draft. I mean, it's not difficult to amend.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you,
I think you've got more. You've got the document written 90% of the way it's going to end up. The boilerplate language is there. A lot of it is based on state law, enabling legislation controls a lot of it. So if you want to change it from mandatory to optional, that's 2 sentences that Lisa could do, you know, in her office. You don't need me to do that for you. If you're talking about throwing this whole out and starting from scratch with a whole new concept, then you know, you need more consultant work. But
I don't have any problem. The question of mandatory or optional, I don't have any problem. My question is what level are we going to institute this at? We're going to go down to minor subdivisions, and every subdivision in Jamestown, I'm going to lay down the street.
Barry, you okay?
Okay, Bill?
Well, I'm okay with going through it. We certainly don't have time to go through all of it. I think we ought to concentrate on the changes, the proposed changes to the comprehensive plan and the ordinance itself, at least in the hour we have left with Tony. And I think the other one is just way too thick to get through in an hour. But I think if we go through those two, I think it'll be worthwhile.
Too expensive.
Or people have some substantive comments that they wrote down.
Yeah. Chris, does the Conservation Commission have specific comments that you have not yet given to Tony?
We have not given Tony any of them. Oh, because basically we were supposed to do that tonight, and I have comments that I've written on my sheets, which I can certainly forward to him, and they're not anything real substantive. There's some changes that I thought maybe in the review process that we might want to make. There's some other things that I think we need to talk about a little bit, such as how do we map aquifers and how do we incorporate those into the planning so we really don't have those mapped on the island. There's some technical things which are really not as important as some of the actual protocol, the way that things are developed.
In the interest of time, I'm trying to give Tony some input here. Can we proceed as Barry has suggested and proceed with first the comprehensive plan comments, changes that are suggested, and because that tends to be the big stick. And so, Tony, can you run us through the changes and first?
the comprehensive plan changes are minimal. It's only 4 pages. What I did is I took out references to cluster development and replaced it with conservation development. What you should just look at is page 2, where I put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 paragraphs that explains what conservation development is, so that anyone reading the comp plan would know what the purpose, or why do you have conservation development in the first place. The second page explains what conservation development is and how it differs from cluster zoning. Sets higher standards on quality and configuration of the open space. There's a more flexible approach in the design of those subdivisions, and the protected land is configured to contribute to an interconnected network. Those are really the 3 purposes of conservation subdivision planning as it differs from what you have now, cluster. It also will allow, that last paragraph in the middle of page 3, it will allow open space to be remain in private ownership for agriculture, habitat, or forestry. That's an option that the state law allows. You can have the open space owned by 4 entities. One would be the town. The second would be a nonprofit conservation group. The third would be a homeowners association, and the fourth would be a private individual in the case of a farm. If you have or had a farm that was threatened with development, you could allow the open space to remain in agricultural use and still be owned by the farmer. So that paragraph is really important if you would choose to allow that option. The rest of it's boilerplate. There's really nothing in there that I think needs to be discussed beyond what I just said.
Does anybody have any comments, input, or questions?
Yeah, my one comment on the page 2, where you, under the conservation subdivision planning, it's really the first sentence, the second phrase, you know, it goes on to say, the town supports the concept of conservation development.